Hi everybody, just wanted to update you on another item on the farm here, on frustration situations, things that you learn in life. And this is a surprise to me. I just want to let you know that I've had a couple of air compressors in the past. I've had 2 or 3 prior to this that worked for a while and they just died, you know. And it's something about air compressors that are just, by nature, they're challenging and they have challenging lifespans. But this was an interesting thing that I wanted to bring up. I've always been impressed with Dewalt, from their power screwdrivers and everything. I just really find the tools to be fantastic. And as you know, if you've ever used any Dewalt products, most of them are really, really good. So I took the plunge and I decided I was going to invest in, or just buy, this air compressor, because we've got a lot of need for it. We've got tractors and everything that needs air. So I got this thing about a little over a year ago at Lowe's, and I was just extremely happy about it, and brought it home and used it, set it up, and it works fine. Then one time I noticed that the ground pin in this was gone. It just dropped out and stuck in the receptacle, which I thought was kind of strange. This is really a short cord too. It's bothersome that this short cord is so short. Now the good thing about this cord is that it's thick, so mice don't chew it to death. So it's almost like it's short, but you know, it's mice. It keeps mice don't chew it to death, which they do on farms. So I'm using the thing here after about a year, and I'm filling some tires up, and all of a sudden I noticed that the compressor is just not shutting off when it's filled. It was like never would shut off. You could turn it on, but it would never shut off. And then at one point, ultimately, what it would do is it would blow a valve to release the air so the tank doesn't explode. So it blows an emergency release valve and releases the air. So really, that the tanks don't explode, and they've been known to in the past with other types of things. And so I'm saying to myself, you know, I've had this thing at least no more than a year, maybe just a year and a month, you know, and I'm going like, certainly I should be able to do something. So I went to Dewalt online, and I put in a warranty request. Then I came home, excuse me, and I came home and waited a couple weeks. I didn't hear anything, you know. Finally, I checked my email messages, and I got a message from Dewalt support, and they said, sorry for the delay. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. However, we do not specifically service this particular machine. We don't support it. There is a specialized team that does. And they said, please contact the specialized team. So I made a call to the specialized team that should have gotten my repair request automatically, you'd think. Excuse me, pollen. And so they answered the phone, and they're south of Charlotte. And I'm going like, I'm thinking I'm talking to some direct relationship with Dewalt. Well, it turns out that it's not. It turns out that this particular group that I'm talking to was the actual manufacturer of these air compressors. So I'm going to cut this a little short here just to let you know that Dewalt does not manufacture this particular air compressor. Probably all their air conditioners are not supported. Who supports them? The actual manufacturer of them does. And they're the ones that will determine whether, you can, whether they're on it. Now the deal is that the warranty on this air compressor is 1 year. And just a little opinion piece right here. Anytime you get a piece of equipment, whether it's an air compressor or it's a generator, those are notorious, that has an expensive warranty or a very short one or both, you should be leery of it, because it's like the manufacturer saying, we know that this particular machine is going to break at some particular point. We know it's going to die, and so we're going to give it this much of a warranty. So just know that there's an inherent problem when a warranty is, very short, or it's expensive, or both. In this particular case, I was out of warranty. I was out of warranty for about a month. Too bad. It's like hand grenades and golf. You better be on target. So what's the problem? Well, the guy who answered the phone was a very helpful individual once he got up to speed. And it felt like I was just talking to some kind of, small business. I didn't realize when I initially started talking to the support group that they were the actual manufacturer. So they said, well, what the problem is you have a bad pressure shutoff switch. And I'm going, okay, how much are those things? Well, those things are about $15. And then they send you a clamp along with that too. And then they say, we'll even send you some instructions. And so I order the part. About a week later, I get the part. And this is what the part looks like. I'll put it down here so you can see. Whoops. Sorry, this is what the part looks like. Looks like a little spark plug, but it's got a hole in it, and it's got these electrical connections on the back. And then this is the hole that a hose connects to, and then they send you a small connection clamp, which is a different type of connection clamp. These are the kinds that require a special tool to use them. And the special tool to use the little special clamp costs about $30, which is amazing. So I ended up, finding another standard clamp to use instead. So they said, what you want to do, what you have to do at this point, is it's a relatively simple thing. Initially, they said, you go to this back panel and you take those screws and you just remove them, and then remove this panel. You can remove it easily. Well, no way, you can't. You use torque hex screws, T25s, on this entire thing. Actually, these on this on this platform here, those are bigger than that. But all the other screws, which I'll get to, are T25s. These are bigger ones. But the thing about these things, these screws are torqued in so much that you cannot remove them. You cannot, even if you use a power screwdriver, even if you use WD-40, even if you use deep creep or something like that, you just cannot get this thing off. So forget it. I'm telling you that right now. It's frustrating. So for me, what I had to do is I had to get to this, where that hose is going in, right there, where it comes out of this spot and it goes into this shroud. And then behind the shroud is this little piece right here that tube connects to. So how do you get to that? How do you get to that? Well, you can't take this thing off, but luckily you can wrestle your way around to do this thing. So I'm thinking, get some deep dwell hex D25s, as in torque T25 screws, and you go into these little access points, and you've got to get in there deep. And there might be, dauber mud in there. You could spray some WD-40 and loosen it up. You can get to it, but it's so deep in there. You got 1, 2 on this side, and then on the other side you got another set of screws that connect this particular black shroud, and this little black shroud snaps together, hopefully. But you got to wrestle. You got to take the wheels off. And so that's the easy part of the whole thing. The difficult thing is getting into the shroud and getting the shroud out of there. And then from there you can figure out how to take the old one out, the old pressure switch out and back into place. And that's the fun part. Those are the things you can figure out. Now you gotta get the thing back together, and this is like a real pain, because even with the wheels off, and if you could get this outside panel off, you'd have more room to work around, but you can't get it off. If you can, please update this video and tell me how you did it. So after rolling around in the wet grass with this thing, as if I was wrestling an iron pig, I finally got this thing put together with a new part in there. And I'm going, okay, let's start it out. And I started out, Well, it doesn't start out. It doesn't start at all. I'm going like, what's the deal? Well, maybe the power cables aren't connected. Well, guess what? When you take that shroud out, you're going to inevitably, I'm trying to say, disconnect the power cables. No problem. So I take this whole Darth Vader mask off again, and I notice that, yes, I've got a power switch on the side that goes to these connection points on this switch on the inside of this that's connected to the inside of that shroud. But you have a switch. You got 2 wires, then you have a switch. And the switch has 4 connection points. 2 on one side, 2 on the other side. Kind of like A, B, C, D. A and B being on one side, C and D on the other side. Well, what do you hook it to? Well, okay, let's go online, see if we can find the parts, a schematic for the wiring. It does not exist. They don't have it. No. So what they have is they've got a parts list. So you go to the parts list. Maybe if I can find the actual parts list, the actual switch, the power switch, not the power switch, but the controller thing on the inside. Then you can, it's the power switch. Yeah, excuse me. If I can find the power switch with the inside connection points, then I can at least look it up and try to figure out how to hook the thing up. Well, the power switch is not on the parts diagram for this thing. So I did my best guess. I said, it looked like the 2 yellow wires, and then there's 2 yellow going to the switch, and then there's another one that came unplugged down below. And you got to almost put the whole thing back together in order to get, the connections together, So the way I realized that it looked as if the wires at one time were connected to A and B, or the switches on the connection points on the left side of the power switch on the inside of the machine. And I said, well, I mean, I got no choice. So I connected it together. Then I wrestled this thing back again, and I knew all my parts were at least, and I plugged it in. Damn, the thing worked. And I still was unable to get this shroud completely nicely snapped together and screwed together because, you know, ultimately some screws, that's my fault. Well, you know, some of the screws got lost, one or so. And then you stick your deep dwell screwdriver in there with a removable bit. It's not magnetized, and that sticks on the inside of the thing. So I mean, the basic thing is I'm basically a retired individual here. I've got time on my hands, and I enjoy to learn things. And this is one thing that I really had to, you know, kind of keep calm, take a break, come back the next day. And if I didn't get some kind of enjoyment out of fixing these damn things, this thing would have been down at the landfill, period. And I'd have had to go buy another one. So have patience when you're doing these things. And the moral to this story is short warranties tell you something about the quality of the machine. And most importantly, which really makes me think about all of these nice products, Dewalt, all of these machines, you know, which I love Dewalt. And I'm thinking, steel might be another category. I'm going like, you know, these companies, Dewalt does not make this machine. So who does? And so that's my point. And I look at all these nice tools now with a different eye. I'm going like, yeah, it's got a nice name. It's got the nice powerful lettering in yellow and all this kind of yellow and black. But guess what? You know, Dewalt didn't make it. They don't stand behind it. They pass the buck to somebody else. So I hope this helps. And thank you very much. Have a good day.